All right, Pop. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great.
All right.
This has been a very special day, and this particular time is recognizably a very special time.
Yeah. We were here. We did a walkathon with the family to both honor and to celebrate, to support primarily Shantae and her struggle with MS. And it's turned out to be a beautiful day. It was a beautiful outing. And so we're all here just, resting up from that. But what we wanted to talk a little bit about and provide an opportunity for us is to begin to document some of the history of our family and to share this, to be able to share these stories that you have and that other members of our family have for, the children, the grands, the great-grands, so that they can have some relationship and understanding of the family that they are a part of. And so I was hoping that you might be able to share some things.
Let me sort of interrupt you and also kind of begin by saying, and I hope to keep this beginning intrinsically included all along the way. Mm-hmm. That is of my gratitude. Right now, I'm a bundle, a composite of gratitude, and so thankful that as we began, this is a couple of days after my birthday. Today is the birthday I thought was my birthday. I was taught my birthday for a long time, Cinco de Mayo, but just a couple of days into my 74th year. And as I sit and think back over these 74 years, as far back as I can go, I picture what I want this centrally to be about. The center always to be God. Because I've been so blessed that through the whole of it, so many of my memories are connected with people connecting me to God's presence, God's wonder in our lives. And I'm thankful because I know the one thing that God is absolutely responsible for, that we think we are, and that is family. So first with God always with us, and then keeping in mind that each one of us is just one part of the family of man, and then God blesses us to come into smaller units. We have such a beautiful family, all the different streams of it. Now, going back, as I said, this was all a part of it from the beginning. My beginning was right in Birmingham, Alabama, and a place that I'm very proud today to constantly remind people, the old adage, where are you from? Mm-hmm. And throughout life. And I speak this as speaking to my children as I've been talking to them throughout their lives, mm-hmm. but to my grandchildren and to the blessedness that God has blessed me to be here, that I have great-grandchildren now. And so I want them to know how important all of this is. So I'll start back to my kind of beginnings. In Birmingham, Alabama, born in the year 1939. And in my fondest memories, I think of my family that was kind of expansive even then. My mother, Gwendolyn, and thanks be to God, my dad, who I was named for, Arnold. Very important for me always when I say my name to people that don't know me or when I sign my name. Some people may not realize it, but when I put Junior behind my name, and I make a point to insist that they write Junior behind my name because it's my way of honoring my father. But part of my life, I thought they were like little children because they were always with my grandparents. Mm-hmm. We were quite often, as in early childhood, we lived actually close to and or in our grandparents' home. But I was blessed to have both sets of my grandparents with me throughout my early childhood. My grandfather Hill Harris, who was the father of my mother, and my grandmother Bessie May Harris, my mother's mother. Mm-hmm. My father's father, Ernest P. Hall, and my father's mother, Hattie B. Hall, Hattie Beatrice Hall. Now, we had nicknames for those two sets of grandparents. Mm-hmm. And, my father's parents was Mama Hall and Papa Hall.
Okay.
And my mother's parents was Big Daddy and Big Mama. Mm-hmm. And Big Daddy was Big Daddy to a whole lot of people now.
Why is that?
Yeah. Well, you'll hear me, and I know you've heard me talk about him so much, but I guess I had, in fact, when my grandchildren were born was when I really began to appreciate how much my grandfather had showed love and showered me with love. I knew we were just terribly bonded. I was very much bonded with my grandfather. Early in my life, at the outbreak of the Second World War, my mother, first of all, went into the military, the United States military. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there were elements of patriotism because even as a child, in my mind, I can reflect back and remember how over his masters with the radio mm-hmm. and everything. It wasn't about TV at the time, but about radio. And going to the movie for your newsreels. That's how we got our big news and pictures, mm-hmm. other than newspapers. Patriotism was high. Even as children, we were very much throughout aware of how that Second World War began with our country, America, becoming involved. We knew that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor. I can remember identically. I was sitting in 16th Street Baptist Church, and the pastor interrupted, and they had this loudspeaker connection thing. Mm-hmm. And the President Roosevelt, had just announced that our country had been attacked. The Japanese had attacked our country in Pearl Harbor, and we were really drawn into the war fully at that point and committed. And there was just this great spirit of patriotism that went out. Well, following that, my father and my uncles were either drafted or from the part of the younger, I think one or two, they volunteered to go in. I had these four uncles. My father had four brothers. There were 5 boys there, mm-hmm. and they all went in. Well, they also happened to be my mother's best buddies, I think. And aside from Dad being her husband, his brothers were like her best buddies. So, as I said, there was patriotism involved, but I think Mom probably went in. My mother volunteered to go in. Mm-hmm. I think trying to keep up with her buddies, right. Or she thought she was going to be able to. And which meant, though, for her to go in, and she already had 3 children, myself, my sister Harriet, and my sister Ruth. And my sister Harriet, who lives in the Chicago area now, and has been out there for many years, and my sister Ruth, who's back here in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Right now, I happen to be sitting in New Jersey, mm-hmm. having a wonderful day with my son and daughter, and so much more of the family who participated today in the mm-hmm. MS Walkathon to be supportive to my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, Shantae. And
but Grandma went into the military. Mom, you were sharing that. Mom
went in and a girlfriend, Nevers. They went in and volunteered to go into the WAC, mm-hmm. Which carried a story with it because at the time
WACS, right?
That was that was it. I believe it was the WA. They had the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, the WAAC,
right?
And after my mother was sworn in, mm-hmm. and odd enough, I guess she didn't point it out until after she'd been sworn in. she made a correction to the paperwork they made out that she was not Caucasian. She was, in fact, Negro, of the Negro race. I think at that period, we as blacks or as African Americans, as know ourselves today, were known as colored. I remember as a child, all the places where we were supposed to be directed to had the signs on them, colored. This is in Birmingham, of course, in Alabama, and throughout a lot of the country. But it was colored at that time. Well, we carried some label changes through the years, but that's growth. So she went in, and once she pointed it out, I've never seen any of this on paper, but we were informed, and the stories were about amongst, and the chatter between the neighbors and family and everybody was there was a phone call made that ended up being made to the White House as to what they were going to do with these girls. And from our understanding, the president's wife, Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt, got involved and seemingly told them, seems to me you've done what you're going to do. You've sworn them in, now you got to find a place. And that was part, it might not have been the whole of it, but from what we've been informed, that was part of the beginning of the WAC, the WAC. And so they were amongst the first two. And getting back to my grandfather, thanks be to God that my grandfather was a man of means. Not terribly well formally educated, that is, to schooling. But he had what he loved to pray be instilled in all of us, something called mother wit. And I just thought he had the Midas touch, because it looked like everything he touched turned into good, great. This for him. As a child going around, I remember always coming, stop laughing, but reaching a point where I knew there was a truth. And Dad looked over there and saw a big plot of junk ground or something. And he made a statement, boy, I could see putting some cottages over there. He meant he could see making a success out of doing something. Or he'd look over there and see this old torn building.
This is Hill Harris,
This is
Big
Hill
Daddy.
Harris.
Big Daddy.
Yeah, Big Daddy. Big Daddy, later he had a construction company also. That's one of his little sideline things. That was his big, one of his big business. It wasn't extraordinarily big, but that was one of his big business, and it means because he loved hiring, he loved giving people a means of making a livelihood. He wanted all of us to be in business. And, I was blessed because both sets of my grandparents were business minded. And this first part, I'll tell you, right now I connect him with many, and he always wanted all of us. He put all of us in some kind of business. Started me at 13 into a business, taking care of a store. But my grandmother, who her business liking was from the Poro beauty era, doing hair and all those products. And my father's father owned a restaurant, but he also had a special design car where he had a driver's school. And I found myself doing a lot of what he used to do, doing errands for people and being there supportively transporting people. But he had one of those cars, in fact, he taught me to drive in that car. What kind of
car was that back then?
And that was I believe that was, it was a Plymouth, but I knew he had the steering wheels on both sides. He had the double set of brakes, not steering wheels on both sides. But he taught me as a young fellow how to drive Papa Hall. But he also owned a restaurant on what we call the South Side at the time, that my grandmother ran. And my sister Harriet and I had the joy of being able to be out there, and they took, we were working in it, so to speak. If we weren't eating up half the profit and just enjoying playing. But those two sets of grandfather, at least the grandfather, was kind of there was always sort of like a sense that there was a competitive spirit in there. But they were business oriented, and they all wanted to be sure that all the children went through college. That was pushed strong.
So education,
entrepreneurship,
and patriotism were all themes in our family.
That was very strong.
Got it. Got it.